We have Stefan Schwett here today, who's the co-founder and CIO of NEWBOOKS Solutions, is here to talk about the digital journey for books. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. I hope the mic is on and everyone can hear me. Great. So, yeah, let me welcome you to my presentation and the story of going digital in the book market. And I would like really to tell you a story today, because we had a project last year, and we planned, implemented, and finished the project within 1 year. And that was quite a complex project because it addressed a whole industry. In our case, it was the German-speaking book industry, or the publishing industry. And when you are setting up a project for a whole industry, you can easily imagine that there are a lot of people involved. And there are a lot of different stakeholders who have different kind of ideas, who have different requirements. And I would like to show you some of the main requirements. I would like to tell you about one of our toughest challenges we had and the final solution we came up with. And of course, afterwards, I would like to show you a live demo so you can see how the system works and how the different roles and users and the people are working with the system. But before we dive into the system and the project, I would like to introduce me and my company a bit more. So my name is Stefan Schwett. I'm CIO and co-founder of a company called NEWBOOKS Solutions. We are quite a new company, founded in 2013, but we combined values and experiences of longer existing company. We wanted to create something new, something more valuable for our customers, and that's why we founded NEWBOOKS Solutions. And we are based on 3 different pillars. The first one is software, creating individual software solutions. And this comes from my other company called IUCON, and we have over 15 years experience in developing, planning, and releasing software systems, individual software systems. And that's the first part. The second part is data, and here we have the experience of another company called NEWBOOKS Services. And NEWBOOKS Services has about 18 years of experience in handling data, in building up complex databases, in merging data, and to enrich data with editorial services. So we have a very good combination of either creating individual software and combining that with individual data, and really good data. And the third one is consulting, our consulting part, and this is something where we simply go into other companies, where we help them when they are planning new software systems, and we simply want to share our experience in software and data, of course. But now let's go back to our project, and the name of the project was VLB-TIX. I don't want to explain the name. It's a combination of the name of the central German-speaking book database, that the VLB, and TIX was meant to be a title information system, and the X was replaced, or the S was substituted by the X because a marketing guy somehow found it very cool. So that's where the X comes from. The following sentence tries to summarize what VLB-TIX was meant to be. So it was meant to be an interactive online service that enhances discoverability and replaces conventional printed new books catalogs. So why is there a need for a replacement when there are maybe really good workflows already set up? I would like to show you what I'm talking about, because the purchasing process of the book industry is based on this one. This is just an example, of course, but it's a printed catalog, and in this printed catalog, the publishers are announcing and introducing upcoming titles. And you can easily imagine that it's not really very, very smooth workflow to work with this, neither for the publishers nor for the booksellers, because it costs very much money to produce these catalogs twice a year. And the bookseller has to work through all of these catalogs sending out to them. And they have to set up a manual workflow to review all these titles, to retype all the titles they want to order in their ERP system. So this is quite, really not a good workflow, and it urgently had to be replaced. To show you another example of a catalog and to show you some more of the drawbacks of those printed catalogs, I brought a PDF. And that's a typical NEWBOOKS catalog from a publisher called Palgrave. Maybe some of you know them. And let's have a look at the index. And you see here a typical NEWBOOKS catalog covers so many topics, so many different topics that it really nothing having in common with. For example, we have here a range from education to criminology or whatever. And this is because it would be too expensive to create individual catalogs from the publisher side. And for the bookseller side, it makes it really hard to work with these catalogs because they're getting information about titles they don't want to see, and they have still to work through all these titles. And when we have a look at how a title is actually presented and what information are listed, you see here that, described from the title and some descriptive text, a publication date and the price is announced. And this is an information that can typically change. So you can say that as soon as this printed catalog is sent out, it becomes quickly outdated. And you have to think about a workflow to inform your customers about the changes. So, the industry really needed to get rid of these outdated workflows. But there are several other requirements from both publishers as well as from the bookseller's perspective, and I want to tell you some of them. The first one is that publishers really need an individual representation of their own brand and of different titles. And when we take a look at another new title catalog, you see that publishers typically put a lot of effort in creating beautifully designed new title catalogs. This is another example here. And what they do is they are not only presenting the title and the information about the title, but they also try to get some emotional feeling of the title. And this really makes sense because when we think about how a bookseller or a purchasing agent of the bookseller is working, then he has around only 20 to 30 seconds to make a decision whether to buy a title or not, because they have so many titles in review. And so a publisher really needs a very good title presentation within the small time span they have to convince a purchasing agent that this might be the next bestseller. So they really put a lot of effort in creating those individualized and emotionalized new title catalogs. So this is one of the main requirements from a publisher's perspective. And when we think about how a digital system typically is designed, then it works with templates, and especially with title templates. And I brought here an example of how a title is presented in a bookstore we all know. And you see that every title quite looks the same. So there is no way in emotionalizing, in presenting other information, in really convincing the purchasing agent about the importance of this title. So there are several other requirements. For example, what I talked about earlier is the need of creating individual catalogs. And what the publishers also need was, of course, an automatic data import. And we had to connect a wide range of different CMS and ERP systems to the new title system. And we had to deal with a lot of different and a lot of complex data formats. So also from the bookseller's perspective, there were quite some, there were a lot of requirements. The first one is that if a bookseller is using a system to order his titles, of course he doesn't want to order only new titles or announced titles. He wants to have a database listing a complete list of all titles. And what we did is we had to import 2.5 million titles. So we had to build a very big database containing a lot of titles. And when you have a really big database with a huge number of titles, you of course have to think about how can I handle this huge amount. And we needed to set up very good search facilities, the chance to add filters, to set up profiles, and simply to help a bookseller to deal with this huge amount of title and filter exactly those titles he's really interested in. Furthermore, a bookseller wanted not only to set up profiles, he wanted to subscribe to profiles. That means he wanted to be automatically informed when new titles within his areas of interest are released or when titles are changing. They wanted to communicate about titles and to discuss about titles. And they had individual order processes that need to be reflected by the system. So these were some of the requirements, and the list of the requirements were sent out to us in summer 2014. And we were told that the system was meant to be released in October 2015. So we thought, okay, we have plenty of time to implement the system, to think about the system, to create a very good project plan and to follow the plan. But we all know that life is not a picnic, especially not a developer's life. And at first we were told, okay, the schedule had changed. We had to be finished in May 2015, so nearly half a year before the first release date was announced. And that was because customers, pilot customers wanted to join the system, and they want to test the complete system, integrate that in their workflows. And so they need plenty of time also to adjust their individual workflows with the system. But that's not the end of the story. Furthermore, there was a main paradigm we had to follow. And that was very crucial for the success of the system. And the paradigm was for the industry, by the industry. And that means the whole industry had to be involved in the planning and development process. And we had weekly presentations within the development process where we introduced new features, where we had to discuss about features. And yeah, it was extremely agile. New people came into the task forces. We talked about features. We changed features. New stakeholders came with tons of new ideas. And what we really needed here was an extremely agile process. And yeah, you can maybe imagine that when we think about a traditional architecture, traditional software architecture, and that's what we wanted to base our system on, this kind of agility, what's really needed here, it becomes a nightmare. So this is the original architecture we wanted to build VLB-TIX on, and it's an architecture based on a relational database. And now let's picture what it means when a simple requirement is changing. For example, let's have an XML export from a customer CMS, and he simply added a new field in this XML. You have to walk through the whole architecture. You have to touch nearly every component to reflect this single field in the front end. It starts from adjusting the relational database. You have to add a new field, where not if you have, maybe you have to add even a new table. You have to adjust your import. You have to set up validation rules that this single field is not allowed to exceed the original reserved space in the database. If the field has to be searched, you have to synchronize with the search engine. You have to adjust your object relational mapping that the application understands about the new data. And yeah, you have to walk through the whole architecture, and it's really, really heavyweight, and you are not really quick with those changes. So when we would have stick with this architecture, we wouldn't have fulfilled the requirement of this agility. Sorry. But there was a change in the whole development process, and in October 2014, we got to know MarkLogic during a presentation at the Frankfurt Book Fair. And I sat in the audience, and it was a short presentation, about 15 minutes, but I sat in the audience and I thought that could be something that really could help us with our problems here. I thought we could just address only the import processes, but furthermore. And with the help of MarkLogic, we were able to set up a complete different architecture, a very lean, a very flexible architecture, which helped us in this case also to fulfill these special workflows of the development. And what we did here is we used MarkLogic not only as a simple data store, but also for our imports. We haven't to take care about different data formats. We could simply put it into the database and it worked. We didn't have to care about how to synchronize with the search engine in real time, which is really a big problem because customers wanted to change data in real time, and they should be reflected within the front end and the search facilities. So MarkLogic really helped us here out, and it was kind of a breakthrough in our software development process. And furthermore, we were able to re-implement our business logic. We originally implemented in C# in xQuery. So we almost put the whole business logic into MarkLogic, re-implemented it, and therefore we were able to create a really fast and responsive system. And as you can imagine here, when a single requirement is changed, we only have to touch a few components, and not in contrast to the other architecture. So that is the theory. Now let's come to the practical part with a live demo. And I want to show you how the system looks like, how it works. And I picked a simple workflow, how to create a new title catalog from the publisher's perspective, how to enrich titles, and how can a bookseller work with this. So let's go to a web browser. And here we go. I'm logged in currently as a publisher. You see here the start page displaying different titles, which are based on a particular profile I set up. But I don't want to waste time, just go straight to the catalogs. And what I want to do now is simply create a new catalog. Give it a name and choose the catalog type. And what we can here is choose, should it be a regular catalog, which means a catalog for the whole audience, or for a special group of customers, that would be a custom catalog. We are able here to add different templates reflecting different kind of information a customer or a bookseller might need for his ordering process. But this time, simply let's go to a custom catalog. And what I want to do now is build a catalog from scratch, so to speak. Of course, I can go here into a search facility, search for titles, add them one by one to the list. But that's not really what I want to do, because I already presented you a beautifully designed catalog. That was this one here. And what I'm doing now is just use the import facility on top of the page, import PDF, go to that catalog, open it. It now takes some time, of course, to upload it to the server, but it shouldn't take too long. And now in the background, he does some processing on the PDF, of course, and we are done as quickly as it is. So what he did is he is extracting the front page of the catalog, and as well he's extracting all the different titles listed in the catalog. And with a few clicks, I simply brought in a PDF into my system, and now I can work with the catalog. So let's have a look how the individualization of a title works. I'm now here in a detail page of a title, and you see on the top of the page there is a toolbar. And the toolbar I can use to add several sections to the page and enrich the page. The data we are seeing here are originally extracted from the database. So these are all those information listed in our database, but when we remember the requirement of individualization, it also has to do with the stage here we see. And as a first step, I want to get rid of this boring old stage and integrate something new. So that's what I prepared here. Just a replacement. It's an image I can upload, and that's a good way, a good start to emotionalize this title. The next thing I want to do is to add a section you're obviously not able to add into a printed catalog, and that's a video. So simply click on the YouTube link here, give it a name, video, and I hopefully have no typos. Just give me a second. Here on this English style keyboard is not very easy. Unfortunately not, no. Okay, here we go. So now I can relocate the video, bring it on top of the page, for example. And within a few clicks and the integrated CMS, I have a strong individualization of this title. Let's simply save it and publish it. And so it's open for the whole audience. And what I want to do now, or what the publisher is able to do now, is to send this individualized catalog to his customers, to his booksellers and key accounts. And the bookseller will receive an email containing a link, and when he clicks on the link, he will go right into a so-called presentation mode. And that's a very special mode we designed for handhelds, for tablets, for mobile devices. And what you can do now is you can simply use a swipe gesture to browse through the catalog. And this gives kind of a feeling of browsing through a paper-based catalog. And here we are, we have this new title presented. We have all the information, of course, the enriched one, even with the video embedded. Yeah. And it would be quite a normal title. So with this simple workflow, I hope I could give you an idea how the system works and how it looks like. I would go back now to the presentation and simply end up the story with a collection of logos. We can say that we were able to fulfill the requirement of those agile process, and that we were able to integrate the whole industry in the product. It was really crucial for the success of the system, because everyone now feels like it is his system. He was integrated in the planning, in the development, and he really feels like it is his own system. And currently, nearly every week, new customers are signing the system, and it's really a successful story right now in the German-speaking book market. And with this, I want to close my presentation, say thank you, and yes, maybe there are some questions I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
How long did the project take in the end?
Well, the project started with sending out the requirements in summer 2014. We started the first part of the development around in October. But that's when we met MarkLogic, also in October. And we needed some time to convince the German-speaking, the company, that we want to switch the architecture. We want to go away from a relational structure to MarkLogic. And that took about 3 months. So we started the actual development in January, and we had to be finished in May. So we had 5 months left. Short amount of time with only a few developers. There were 4 developers involved.
Were any of them experienced MarkLogic developers? Or they
No, completely new. So we had to educate 2 developers to use MarkLogic, and that happened in the time span between the Frankfurt Book Fair, October to January, and we had 2 front-end developers. So it was kind of a bold move from our side to switch this architecture to go into something new. We didn't know anything about MarkLogic before.
There are already 23,000 publishers on board since that time. So it's really good business.
Thank you. Oh yeah.
It was a lot of new technology within a very short time. Did you see any hesitation of the team to use that for you? Or where did this doubt come from? You say you had to convince the company for a move.
So our developers are really happy to play with new technology like every other developer. And they realized really quickly that this is not only a risk but also a chance. And it really worked out for our developers. So they, when they started using MarkLogic, they felt in a very short amount of time that they can be successful with implementing this technology. Our customer was a bit more old-fashioned, it's like the whole publishing industry. And of course, they wanted to take the risk in creating a completely new architecture they don't understand. So that was the hardest part, I would say, in the whole process to convince our customer to switch the technology. And I'm very happy that we finally can make it, because as we saw earlier, it was crucial for the success to switch the architecture. Yes, please.
One of the most impressive parts of that very impressive demo was when you uploaded the PDF, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the technology behind that and whether MarkLogic or how MarkLogic helped with that.
Okay, so it looks a bit like magic, isn't it? Yeah. But it's not that much magic behind it. It seems to be. So what we simply do is we have the big advantage that we have a complete database of all German-speaking titles in the system. It's based on the VLB, the German-speaking book database, and it contains 2.5 million titles. And what we're simply doing when we get a PDF and it's uploaded, we are looking for ISBN, for the EAN, and we have a lookup inside the database and extracting the title information from there. So it's not that much magic behind it, it seems. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it is. Yeah, actually, it is. Yeah. Yes.
Just on his question, really, is it some type of OCR you use to look up the ISBN, or some other?
To really get in detail, we use the iFilter technology. iFilter means it's also used, for example, in SharePoint Server. And it is a filter, a library provided by software developers that other systems can connect and extract raw text data. And that's what we did here. We are extracting raw text data from the PDF and simply set up a regular expression to extract the EIN, because it follows a very strict format. It starts with 978 and so on. Yeah, that's it. Yes, please.
What's your technical stack for MarkLogic?
Upwards, it's based on Microsoft technology. So we are using .NET Framework, ASP.NET. Yeah, the rest is implemented in ASP.NET and C#. And we do a lot of things, of course, on the client side. So we are using jQuery, Knockout, and some JavaScript libraries. But the heavy duty is in MarkLogic, the whole business logic. And
So you go .NET through the .NET API or through the REST API?
it's REST API. Yeah.
Stefan, I think that's
Oh.
all the time we
Okay.
have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a break right now that's upstairs in Riverside, and we also have a reception starting at 5:10 in the same place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.